Picture two children. One constantly running back and forth, can't stay in their seat, constantly interrupting instruction, constantly interrupting their neighbor, throwing things across the room, and they can't just seem to keep still. The second child, always looking out the window, very, very quiet, but seems extremely unorganized. Desk is unorganized, backpack, everything is thrown everywhere, and they just seem to be in their own world. People might think that the first child has ADHD, but here's the catch. They both might have ADHD. I'm Ken from the Jet Institute of Learning, and today we're here to break down one of the problems that parents and teachers often run into, and that's ADHD does not always look hyper, especially when it comes to girls, it comes to those high achievers, and it comes to those who are really, really good at masking. Those children can go unnoticed for years. Most people picture ADHD to be running around the room, talking too much, can't sit still, frequent activity changes, emotional overwhelm, frustration tolerance, just a number of those classic ADHD-like characteristics. And yes, that can definitely be ADHD because it's visible, it interrupts classroom, and overall it gets attention. But here's the key. ADHD can also look like staring out of the window, having difficulty starting a very, very simple task, even a task that takes 5 to 10 minutes. They just have problems approaching and getting started. Losing things often, emotionally overwhelmed, such as to the point where they have a very low frustration tolerance, making frequent activity changes. They both are very ADHD-like characteristics, but remember, ADHD is not a simple static structure. You have actually 3 types of ADHD according to the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, number 5, the DSM-5. You have the ADHD hyperactive type, which is the first child that we talked about, very active, running around, typically associated with boys, roughhousing. And then you have the second type, which is primarily inattentive type, the person who stares out the window, who has problems getting started, the person who loses things often and just seems very, very unorganized. But then there's a third type, and that's combined. You are hyperactive as well as inattentive. But today we're here to focus mainly on those inattentive children because, like we said earlier, ADHD is not always hyper. There are a number of ways and a number of symptoms that can display in a person with ADHD. And people often say, well, your child is real smart, but they just need to try harder. Your child is real good, but they just need to focus. Ooh, they have potential, but they really have to put their mind to it. So it seems like they're lazy, that they're unmotivated, that they have the potential, but they just can't reach it. But that's because internally they're having difficulty getting started. Sound familiar? The difficult part is that some children compensate extremely well. They stay quiet, they stay low key, they fly under the radar, they memorize routines, they watch their neighbors, they watch their peers, they memorize just the way to get by from day to day, moment to moment, minute to minute. But all of that keeping it together and all of those things that they have to remember just to go from one thing to another, from point A to point B, leads to exhaustion and burnout. So by the end of the day, when they get home, it all falls apart. So at home, you might see things like emotional exhaustion, frustration tolerance is extremely low, homework battles, difficulty following directions, difficulty carrying out a task, even routine tasks that they've done every single day. And you might say, well, they were able to memorize routines earlier, but at home, I have let my guard down. I don't have my peers constantly watching me. I don't have the school constantly watching me. I have people who know me and they know I can fall apart at any minute. And guess what? It's time to fall apart now. So these are the type of symptoms that you're likely to see once a child has been holding it together all day and they get home when they're displaying symptoms of that inattentive type of ADHD. And people start wondering, well, they said they're doing so well at school, then why does home feel so hard? And this is the part that people miss. Just because they can do things that they like on occasion and they can focus on occasion doesn't mean that they're choosing when or not when to focus. So you might say, well, If they can play video games, if they can make themselves a meal, if they can go outside and ride their bike and focus on games and all their friends' names, they must just be choosing when to pay attention and when not to pay attention. But that's not necessarily the case. People with attention difficulties have problems with various types of attention. There's sustained attention, there's selective attention, there is resistance to distractions, and a lot of the times people are just having difficulty focusing on the key parts of the environment. It's not that they can't pay attention at all, but it's that they pay attention to almost everything in the room and they have problems selecting and blocking out distractors and focusing for a long period of time and memorizing things. All of those are related to various types of attention, especially in those inattentive type. Now, if you're concerned, here are some questions you can start asking. Do they frequently forget everyday items? Do they have horrible organization? Do they have a difficult time starting and finishing a task? Do they seem emotionally exhausted? Do they have a very, very low frustration tolerance? Has this been happening for a long period of time, especially since the early developmental period, maybe ages 3 and up? And does it happen in multiple environments? If your answer is yes to all or most of those, then you might want to seek further support. So if you're constantly hearing, wow, they can do so good if they just focus more, then you're at the right place, because we help children, we help families deal with the same types of struggles that you might be dealing with. So helping children to organize themselves, helping children to get started, to finish tasks, to self-regulate, to self-monitor, to think about what comes up next. You know, we always talk about the ready, shoot, aim child. We help them to ready, aim, shoot. So you flip it around, you help them build that longer frustration tolerance, you help them build those longer rewards, because that's what helps them to focus. That's what helps them to finish tasks. That's what helps them to become self-starters and self-motivated and not seem so lazy and inattentive all the time. So if you want to learn more about the IEP process, or mental health issues, and just overall behavior, parenting support, once again, you've come to the right place. You can visit our website where you can contact us for a free consultation at jedilearning.com, or you can check out our bio and check the links out. All of our contact information is there, and hopefully we've given you enough information that you can take it to the next step. But if not, we're always here for you. And once again, if you still want to hear more information, or you want to hear information on other subjects, all you have to do is one thing, and that's stay tuned.